Good day everyone, I'm Kate Arianila Dimo from Bachelor of Science in Tourism Management, and now I'm going to report the Lesson 9, Managing and Caring for the Self. The learning objectives of Lesson 9 are: explain how learning occurs, enumerate various metacognition and studying techniques, identify the metacognitive techniques that you find most appropriate for yourself, explain the effects of stress to one's health, examine cultural dimensions of stress and coping, and lastly, design a self-care plan. The course content is: knowing the self is not enough, since who you are is partly made up of your choices. You must also have the ability to choose, especially to be better you. In the school setting, your knowledge of yourself should at least enable you to become a better student. In this topic, you need to be the best version of yourself. Why? Because knowing ourselves first will help us do the things that we can and we can't do. This lesson will present several techniques that you can adapt depending on your situation and preferences to make you a better learner. Furthermore, the techniques here are not the only techniques available in months or years from now. New ways on how to study better will be discovered and rediscovered. What is important at this moment is that you learn how to learn these things. We are Homo sapiens, or the wise men. Homo sapien means modernong tao, ang genus ng mga Homo na nabubuhay hanggang ngayon. Tayo ang tinutukoy dito. Lahat ng tao na nabubuhay ngayon ay sinasabing dito nagmula. Ang Homo sapiens ang pinakahuling species ng evolusyon ng tao. In the context of learning, studies show that when you are able to think about how you think, how you process information, and how you utilize techniques while you are studying, you have a higher chance of improving your learning process than those who do not reflect on their methods. This idea falls under the concept of metacognition. Metacognition commonly defined as thinking about thinking. Tumutukoy ang metacognition sa kamalayan ng tao sa proseso ng sarili niyang pag-iisip habang gumagawa ng pagpapakahulugan o pagbasa. Okay. According to Waterloo Student Success Office, the following are other skills that can help you in exercising metacognition. The first one is knowing your limits. As mentioned earlier, one cannot really make any significant advancement in using metacognitive skills without having an honest and accurate evaluation of what you know and what you don't know. Ibig sabihin, to know how much one is able to do. As individuals, we can be limited in our self-concept, abilities, and behavior. These personal limits can be changed with self-awareness, education, and intention. For example, nasa inuman ka, dapat alam mo ang limitation mo kung hanggang saan ka lang. Know your do's and don'ts in short. The second one is modifying your approach. It begins with the recognition that your strategy is not appropriate with the task and or that you do not comprehend the learning experience successfully. It's like changing or modifying your strategy if you don't understand or comprehend something. Halimbawa, may binabasa kang article, katulad ditong report. Sa unang basa or pag-comprehend, hindi maiintindihan, so that in this time na you have to modify your approach or ibahin yung ways ng pagbabasa or pag-intindi, especially sa mga grammatical concerns. Skimming. Since we're talking about skimming and reading, skimming is reading rapidly to get the general overview of the topics. It's more likely getting just an ideas or keywords. Parang mabilis ang pagbabasa daw, especially kung konti lang ang oras mo. You don't have to read the whole article, just do skimming or scanning. The second one is rehearsing. Sa rehearsing, hindi lagi ang pinag-uusapan ay kung ano ang iyong natutunan. Tumutukoy din ito sa personal interpretation kung saan ito yung mga learning experience mo. The last one is self-test. Pag sinabing self-test, dito man self-test, sinusubukan dito kung hanggang saan ang kaya mong gawin. This is one of the benefits of using metacognitive techniques and strategies. Another benefit is the compensation and development of cognitive limitations of the learner because the student is now aware of his or her capabilities. Various researches also showed significant improvement in academic performance in any subject and across age range. The student is also enabled to transfer knowledge from one context into another. Other tips that you can use in studying are the following. The first one is make an outline of the things you want to learn, the things you are reading or doing, and are the things you remember. The second one is break down the task in smaller and more manageable details. The third one is integrate variation in your schedule and learning experience. Change reading material every hour and do not put similar topics together. Also, include physical activities in your planning. The second one is try to incubate your ideas. First, write your draft without doing much editing. Let the ideas flow. Then leave your draft at least overnight or about 24 hours. So, some even do not look at it for a week and do something else. After a given period, go back to your draft or prototype and you might find a fresh perspective about it. Sometimes, during incubation, you suddenly have ideas coming to you. Write them down in the notebook first and do not integrate them into the draft yet. Review what you have written when the incubation period is done. The fifth one is revise, summarize, and take down notes, then reread them to help you minimize cramming in the last minute, especially when you have a weakness in memorizing facts and data. Some people are motivated when the deadline is very close tomorrow, for instance, and they just review the day before some evaluation or exercise. If you are that kind of person, you may still motivate yourself and have that feeling of urgency at the last minute by the using of aforementioned techniques. Your cramming need to be a desperate attempt to learn, but only as a way to energize your brain as you make a final review of the things you have already been studying for a week or so before. The last one is engage what you have learned. Do something about it. On your reading material, for example, highlight keywords and phrases. Write your opinions about the matter on a separate notebook or create a diagram or concept map. Some people also learn best by copying the key paragraphs word by word. You may want to look for other definitions and compare or contrast materials. Use your new knowledge during discussions, just do something about it. The next one is stress. The American Psychological Association 2017 has these statements about stress. Stress is often described as a feeling of being overwhelmed, worried, or run down. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. In short, burst stress can be positive, such as when it helps you to avoid danger or meet a deadline. Stress is a natural physical and mental reaction to life experiences. Stress and human response. The American Institute of Stress, or the AIS, has distinguished different types of stress: the eustress and the distress. Eustress is stress in daily life that has positive connotations such as marriage, promotion, baby, winning money, new friends, and graduation. On the other hand, distress is stress in daily life that has negative connotations such as divorce, punishment, injury, negative feelings, financial problems, and work difficulties. During both eustress and distress, the body undergoes virtually the same non-specific responses to the various positive or negative stimuli acting upon it. However, eustress causes much less damage than distress. This demonstrates conclusively that it is how an individual accepts stress that determines ultimately whether the person can adapt successfully to change. Talia hypothesized general adaptation or stress syndrome. This general stress syndrome affects the whole body. Stress always manifests itself by a syndrome, a sum of changes and not by simple ones change. The general stress syndrome has three components. The first one is the alarm stage. It refers to the initial symptoms that the body experiences when under stress. The second one is the stage of resistance. This is stage which is the body has increased capacity to respond to the stressor. The last one is the exhaustion stage. This is the result of prolonged or chronic stress wherein your body is no longer strength to fight stress. In the article Understanding Stress Response of the Harvard Journal 2017, it further discussed chronic stress and human body response. Chronic stress is prolonged and constant feeling of stress that can negatively affect your health if it goes untreated. It can be caused by everyday pressures of family and work or by traumatic situations. This stress response begins in the brain. When someone confronts an oncoming car or other danger, the eyes or ears or both send the information to the amygdala, an area of the brain that contributes to emotional processing. The amygdala interprets the image and sounds. When it perceives danger, it instantly sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus. When someone experiences a stressful event, the amygdala, an area of the brain that contributes to emotional processing, sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus. This area of the brain functions like command center, communicating with the rest of the body through the nervous system so that the person has the energy to fight or flee. The hypothalamus is a bit like a command center. This area of the brain communicates with the rest of the body through an autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary body functions like breathing, blood pressure, heartbeat, and the dilation or constriction of key blood vessels and the small airways in the lungs called bronchioles. The autonomic nervous system has two components, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system functions like a gas pedal in a car. It triggers the flight or fight response, providing the body with a burst of energy so that it can respond to perceived dangers. The parasympathetic nervous system acts like a brake. It promotes the rest and digest response that calms the body down after the danger has passed. The techniques to counter chronic stress are the relaxation response, physical activities, and social support. Self-care therapy. A positive way to counter stress is self-care therapy. Self-care therapy describes the actions that an individual might take in order to reach optimal physical and mental health. Self-care can also refer to activities that the individual engage in to relax or attain emotional well-being, such as meditating, journaling, or visiting a counselor. In self-care therapy, Nancy Apperson 2008 of Northern Illinois University has provided steps to self-care. The first one is to stop, breathe, and tell yourself, "This is hard and I will get through this one step at the time." The second one is acknowledge to yourself what you are feeling. All feelings are normal, so accept whatever you are feeling. The third one is find someone who listens and is accepting. You do not need advice, you need to be heard. The fourth one is to maintain your normal routine as much as possible. The fifth one is allow plenty of time for a task. And lastly, take good care of yourself. Remember to get enough rest and sleep, eat regularly and make healthy choices, know your limits and when you need to let go, identify or create a nurturing place in your home. Practice relaxation or meditation. The last one, escape for a while through meditation, reading a book, watching movie, or taking a short trip. Ibig sabihin, you need to focus on yourself first. Chill, relax, and live your life to the fullest. Self-compassion therapy. Self-compassion is another way to counter stress. Christine Neff, 2012, has discussed self-compassion in her article, The Science of Self-Compassion. Self-compassion is the ability to turn understanding, acceptance, and love inward. In fact, self-compassion can help relieve many mental health concerns such as anxiety or insecurity. Many mental health professionals help people develop compassion for themselves. Self-compassion phrases. So here's the example of the self-compassion phrases. The first one is, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself. Lastly, may I give myself the compassion that I need." Self-compassionate letter. An example of self-compassionate exercise is the self-compassionate letter. This exercise has been used in therapeutic programs. Below are the steps in doing the self-compassionate letters exercise. So here's the example of self-compassionate letters. Less stress, care more. We should be in control of the stress that confronts us every day. Otherwise, when we are overwhelmed by stress, it can be detrimental to our health. Self-care and self-compassion are two ways to positively confront stress. We should be loved and care for ourselves more and more each day. So this will be the end of my report. Thank you for listening.